Hey guys, so in this video, I want to talk about the reality of the post-study visa being reduced from 2 years to 18 months. We're going to talk about who will actually be impacted by this decision, and we're going to talk about step-by-step strategies which you can take so you will land a skilled work visa. So for those who don't know what has changed, basically the post-study visa was reduced from 2 years to 18 months, and this will be effective from January 2027. And if you're doing PhD, you don't need to worry about anything because you'll still get 3 years of post-study visa. Now obviously students are worried because they think they're gonna have less time to find the job. It's already very hard to find jobs in the UK. Plus some students are worried that they will lose 6 months of employment where they could have earned some amount of money before coming to their home country. Now let's do some financial check. Let's see how much you would have actually made if you would have gotten that 6 extra months in the UK based on the minimum wage and the salary calculation. Now for 6 months, let's take the minimum wage. Let us assume that by 2027, when you have that visa, your minimum wage will go down to £13, just as an assumption. Now, on a standard job, the contract is usually 37.5 hours, and on higher end, it is 40 hours per week. So let's assume on the higher end, and even with the wage, you know what? Let's not do 13, let's do £14 an hour. So you get a rough estimate of this. Now, if we do the calculation and we multiply 14 by 40, it comes down to £560 a week. Now, even if we multiply this 560 and we have roughly 24 weeks in 6 months, so the total will come to 13,440. Now, this is the salary you will earn in total. But now this is not how we usually get things in the UK. 6 months is almost half a year. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you the breakdown of a salary on hourly wage. So we'll do £14 an hour. And if we do our calculation, so yearly you will make 29,120 and your taxable income will be 16,550. So you will get 24,486. So if we divide 24,486 and we divide it by 2 roughly for 6 months, then you'll get 12,243. So the actual amount you will get in your account is not this, but 12,243. Now you have rent to pay, you have expenses. So we're gonna take a rough estimate that your rent is 500 a month and your other expense, which will include your bills and your grocery and everything, is roughly 300 a month. So that comes down to 800 a month, and if you multiply it by 6, that is 4,800. If we take it roughly as 5,000 your expenses. So this is the amount of money you will spend in the UK in the next 6 months. So you will have a rough saving of £7,000, which is a decent amount of money. Now we have not included inflation and all the other things which can happen and obviously will happen. So I'm going to assume that you're going to save around £5,000 to £6,000 in the last 6 months. Now here's the reality check. The whole thing depends on what you're coming to the UK for. If you want to settle there, you want to get a work visa, then these £5,000 to £6,000 won't matter to you that much in long run at all. If you are able to get a work visa, you will earn at least £33,000, and obviously the higher end is £44,000, and the higher end is, you can earn 60, 70, £80,000 depending on the field and your experience and what the company offers. So who is actually affected? Who is losing in this situation? The major impact are on the students who have no career plan. Students who think that the 2-year work visa is just for them to make money, then you have to reconsider everything, because you're not studying for free. You have to pay a lot of fees. You have to pay your living expense for first year. You are not able to work full time in your first year in your master's. And then with the 2-year work visa, your expenses and everything, you can never recover the money you have already spent in the UK on study. So it doesn't really make sense to use graduate visa as a way to earn money which you have spent in the UK on your course. The only real way you can recover your money and pay the loans you might have taken is to get a skilled work visa and get a decent enough salary, which actually from the minimum salary requirement is decent enough. That's the only way you can earn some money, save some money, pay your loan, send it to your parents or whatever. Now, if you look at the timeline, 18 months are more than enough to get a skilled work visa. The least impact will be on the students who are already prepared from the day one. And honestly, if you think about it, the deciding factor is not the time. It is the preparation. And if you're strategic about it, you can land a work visa in 6 to 12 months, and the last 6 months won't even matter to you. So now let's talk about the strategies which you can apply to maximize your chances of getting a skilled work visa. So the first strategy, which is a game changer, is a placement year. Now, even before you apply, I'll suggest you to look at the courses which offer a placement year. Now, there are lots of universities in the UK, and I cannot emphasize enough the value a placement year will have on your experience and your chances to get a work visa. Placement year is included in your student visa. So usually you get a visa if your course is starting from September, let's say 2025. Your course will be from till September 2026. So your visa will usually be valid till Jan 2027. So now if you do decide to do a placement year, you will get additional 1 year in your visa, and you can do full-time work here, and this will not count towards your post-study visa. So in reality, instead of getting 1.5 years, you will have 2.5 years of opportunity to do work in the UK. Now, in the placement year, you have to work in your field. Most of the students on graduate visa do not work in their field, and then they do odd part-time jobs and everything. So if you do a placement year, you'll get a work in your own industry, which will boost your chances massively to find a job in skilled work visa after you graduate. And obviously, when you work there, you'll make connections, and there's a very high possibility that if they like your work, they might be able to keep you full time and even offer you a sponsorship. Now, I'll make a proper video about the placement years and everything and what's the rules regarding that. But if you're still in the phase of finding a university or an appropriate course, definitely start looking for a course with a placement year. Now, let's talk about the second strategy. Apply for job before your results. Let's say my dissertation was due on 7th of September. And your result will be on around 10th of October. So during this time, you have around 1 month where you can take this time to build your CV, your cover letters, sort out jobs, and also start applying. Maybe even if you apply 1-2 places a day, you will have an advantage over hundreds of other students. So this is the second thing which you can easily do when you graduate. And if you think about it, as there's 6 months less to apply for work visa, if you start from day one, you might be able to land a job before your student visa expires, and you can switch directly to work visa without ever switching to a post-study visa. And that will save you a good amount of money on the post-study visa fees and the immigration surcharge as well. So if you do this, there's only advantages, no downside. You know, a lot of us usually fail in life because we procrastinate a lot. And you know, this is kind of procrastination. If you think about, oh, I'm on a, I just graduated, let me take some time off, let me apply for post-study visa. People used to say I have 2 years to apply for jobs, but I have 18 months to apply for jobs. I'll find it. This is the mentality which most of us have to escape. Now, let's talk about strategy number 3, which is target only jobs willing to sponsor. Now, this is another trap which a lot of students fall into. And the reason is simple. When you apply to a lot of jobs, most of them will say that they do not sponsor anyone, which is fine. They're upfront about it. But there are many places which will actually be very vague about it. They will be like, if we like you, we might be able to, take you full time. Like, we might be able to sponsor you by the end of your work visa. Why don't you start working and we'll see and everything. And I'll be very honest, if they're not willing to sponsor you at the start, the chances are very low that they will sponsor you at the end of your graduate visa. I'm not saying that nobody does this. I'm sure a lot of employers probably sponsor a lot of people. They have, promised to sponsor when their graduate visa expiring, and I'm sure they do, because a lot of sponsors have a fixed policy regarding if they're gonna take over any international employee or not. And if they do, they usually sponsor people. I know a couple of friends who got the sponsored visa straight after their graduate visa because they got that kind of employment. And I know someone who has actually gone on the graduate route and their employers have sponsored them by the end of their graduate routes. But the best strategy is if you start saying no from the start, if you're applying to 2 to 3 places a day, you'll have a lot of pool to choose from. A lot of job application actually have in the description, like the job description, that they will clearly mention we do not sponsor, and then you don't need to apply to those places. The mentality we get stuck in is that we will apply and we will impress, but it is very hard. Like, you cannot change people in a couple of years. Maybe you can, like not a lot of people will be able to do that, but if you want to land a skill job, if your whole goal is to get a work visa, you have to be very harsh. You have to be very clear from the start that you will only take the job which are able to sponsor you. You have time. If you don't find any job within the first 3-4 months till your student visa is valid, it's fine. You can then apply for graduate visa, and then keep looking for the jobs which will sponsor you. And by the meantime, you can already start working full-time where you were already working as a part-time, and just do not settle for anything less. Now let's talk about the next strategy. This might not apply to everyone, but after your undergrad, if you have any sort of time, or if you're taking a break, work in your home country and get some sort of experience before coming to the UK. Because let's say you decide to come to the UK on a placement year and you have already worked for, let's say, 2 years. So you will already have 3 years of work experience before you graduate, and that will massively help you to land a work visa. This will obviously benefit a lot of students who have some form of experience, especially in their field. If they've done undergrad in a certain subject and then they have worked in that field, and then they are doing masters in that subject with a placement year and find a job in the same field, it gives you such an advantage, and your chance to get a work visa will increase massively. Now let's talk about the next strategy, which is very common and is advised, is networking. Obviously, you will have a lot of places where you can increase your network. That will be your university. A lot of your university professors and teachers and everyone, they have works in some sort of field, and if they're still doing that on the side, you can definitely ask them for help. You can ask them for connections. You can ask them if there is any opportunity for you to work, if there is any opportunity for you to learn. And the other one will be job fairs. A lot of people have a lot of job fairs in and around your city. You can attend those and find a lot of potential employees. You can get emails, you can get contacts. And other places, there are job fairs in university, which is massively important, because these are the people who actively recruit from your university. And one of the very underrated one is a lot of courses invite guest speaker to give some kind of lecture. And if you get in contact with this guest speaker, get their email or get their LinkedIn, contact them on LinkedIn, and be very proactive. Talk to them a lot. Talk to them about the industry. Talk to them about what you offer, your skills, your experience, and then this might be able to land some sort of opportunity which you might have never thought about. Another strategy which you can follow is upskilling yourself. Now, obviously, in your masters, you have a lot of opportunity to upskill yourself. You can take additional courses. You can do this in uni or online. You can do some freelance work just for your fun. You can build your portfolio. If you are just doing things for fun, if you code things for fun, this is not for no one. If you're like, let's say you do coding and everything and you just do it for fun, have a place to showcase that. If you're a designer, have a place to showcase that. And I don't know about other field, but like have some place to show your work. Either if you're in the field, make a video about it, take some photos, write blogs about it, write articles on LinkedIn, where you will share what you have learned, what you did and everything. And all of this kind of like, it adds up over time. Now, if you follow all these strategies, you will make the most out of your 18 months and you'll never really need those last 6 months. Now, if you compare it with other countries, different countries have different post-study visa limit. But looking at the current immigration status in most of the countries, it does not look good. A lot of countries are restricting themselves towards immigration, and in a way this was bound to happen. So if you do all of these things, you'll already be far ahead of a lot of students who are not doing anything. Now the question which comes at the end is, should you consider to study in the UK after they have changed the postgraduate visa? If your whole goal is just to work on the minimum wage job in your 2-year post-study visa, it doesn't really matter. Yes, you will lose some benefits, but if your whole goal was to get a work visa in the UK, this should not matter to you, because you should be able to land a job way before that. And the last 6 months, as I've already said in my previous videos, will only affect very tiny percentage of the people, genuine people who will be able to land the job in the last 6 months. If you're not able to do that, it won't really make any difference. So my verdict is the same. Work on your skills, work on yourself, from day one when you go to the UK, upskill yourself. And as soon as you give your you submit your last assignment, start applying for jobs. It will take at least 1 or 2 months to find a good job, and you'll get your result then. And the whole process does take a bit of time. And if you need to switch to graduate visa and meanwhile, do that. This should not matter to you. If you're there with a clear plan and strategy to get a work visa, you will get it. I'm confident in you, and you should be confident in yourself as well. So just go out and get it. So if you have anything regarding this topic, please leave it in the comment section and I'll try my best to reply. And if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, goodbye.